two big games, two big takeaways. Now, as far as the odds board for favorite to win the Super Bowl, it's two teams out of the NFC that have top-notch defenses. The Eagles may have the best defense in the league. Denver may have a point of contention with that, but the Eagle defense dominant. Dan Campbell's aggressiveness bites them in the rear end. Eagles go and take down the Lions. Then you had the Rams and the Seahawks, Raheem. And I'm glad that you mentioned Sam Darnold because I was super dialed into this game, had the Rams in a couple of money line parlays, had the Rams laying the 3. And when they get off to the double-digit lead, I'm feeling great. That said, from like the early portion of the second quarter until the end of this game, Seattle absolutely whooped the Los Angeles Rams at the line of scrimmage. Their defense absolutely stifled Matthew Stafford. Their Ram offense had absolutely nothing they could do as far as generating long drives, getting points on the board, you name it. So why are we talking about the Rams being victorious on this Monday? It's pretty simple, Raheem. Two teams have quarterbacks that I can trust. You say what you want about the Eagle offense. I can trust Jalen Hurts. I've seen him win a Super Bowl. Matthew Stafford's a front runner for MVP. Anybody who thinks Sam Darnold's going to win in multiple games in the postseason is certifiably insane. I don't care how good their defense may be, Dream. He turns into a pumpkin any time I watch him in these big games. Week 18 against the Lions, last year against the Rams in the postseason, this game against the Rams for first place in the NFC West. That's where I stand on Seattle. Super well coached, talented team, impressive team. They won the box score in the stat sheet. Darnold in these big spots, not getting it done. This is the Ringer Gambling Show presented by FanDuel. The best place to bet the NFL all season long. FanDuel's got it all. Same game parlays, quick bets for jumping in live, and your way so you can build the bet that fits your play. In Missouri, get excited because FanDuel's coming your way December the 1st. Download FanDuel.com/gamblers to get started. Must be 21 plus in present select states and 18 plus in D.C., Kentucky, and Wyoming. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit rg-help.com. Call 1-888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. And I said last week that I felt like Seattle had a better team than the Rams, but the Rams have the better quarterback. Obviously, as I said, Seattle had the better defense, and I think it proved itself out yesterday because the Rams won that game by 2 points in a game where Sam Darnold had 4 interceptions. If you take back one of those interceptions, the Seahawks probably win that game. So it's unfortunate, but you cannot trust Seattle to go on the road and win multiple games with Sam Darnold. So, I ended up coming out of that game feeling better about Seattle, but at the same time, I've also come out feeling worse because Sam Darnold has to erase his demons. So, they're going to be a frustrating handicap because all of the power ratings and all the metrics and all the things that you see defensively say that Seattle should be probably the best team in the NFC, but ultimately it comes down to their quarterback.
Totally agree with Dream. The thing I'm looking forward to is when we get to playoff time, there will be a number that's going to be really attractive to take against Seattle. And that's really what I'm just sitting and waiting for because they're going to win out and have a very good record in the NFC. They're going to be end up with the 5 seed because of how well they're not going to win the NFC West, but they're going to have a very good record in the NFC. And there'll be an opportunity for us to go ahead and try and take advantage of Darnold because we just don't need to see anything else. There's nothing that Seattle can do. They have the guys in the skill positions that they have. They can't do anything about that. They did the best they could. Shaheed was a very good addition. That was very smart, and they'll get the other receiver back who's injured right now. But there's nothing they can do about the guy who has the ball. And when that dude gets panic in his eyes, you just need to start live betting, spamming the other side because it's just we saw it immediately. You could see him pooping his pants. Oh my God, it's going to be like this. And there's no, the Rams had 7 sacks on him in the playoff game, 4 picks here. There's a playbook here, and Seattle, unfortunately, at the one position that matters the most, just has a guy that can't get it done.
Gentlemen, quickly, it's week 11. Litmus test time. House, best team in the NFL. Gut.
The Philadelphia Eagles.
Raheem.
Oh, I hate this so much. I absolutely hate this question. The
I
most
feel like after a week like we just saw, it needs to be asked. So I hate putting you on the spot, but you know what? It needs to be asked. The audience needs to know.
I'm gonna go. See, this is just so tough for me, just because I think the Eagles' offense is so anemic that I can't see. It's very hard for me to put trust in them.
You
And
think it's going to betray him at some point?
I think it's going to betray them. I think everybody has flaws. I'm gonna say the Los Angeles Rams.
I'm with you, Raheem.
And-
I think it's the
and-
Rams.
I'm gonna say the Rams, and I really don't want to, because I truly believe that Seattle's a better team than them. But it's just ultimately they just don't have the quarterback. I think the Rams, they have the most complete team. Obviously they can be beat in the secondary, but they have a ferocious pass rush and they have the best quarterback
And coach. Don't forget about
and the
Sean
coach.
McVay and what he can do in scheming you up Sunday after Sunday. And we've seen him go and win a Super Bowl. And I am dying and salivating over the possibility of a rematch at some point in January between the Rams and the Eagles. And I just know this guy right here in the center is going to be putting his money on the Los Angeles Rams. We got a lot coming your way in this loaded East Coast bias on the Ringer Gambling Show. Coming up next, Monday Night Football, Cowboys-Raiders. We got picks coming your way. We're back here on the Ringer Gambling Show, the East Coast Bias Boys, of course, on the FanDuel Sports Network as well. We got a Monday Night Football game to break down, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. The Dallas Cowboys, America's team, laying 3.5 in the desert against Pete Carroll's underwhelming, pathetic Las Vegas Raiders. Now, a certain someone will be at this game on Monday night, so he will get the tee box for the Cowboys and the Raiders. Raheem Palmer is our resident Cowboy fan. Cowboys, last time we saw them, it was an embarrassment. Monday Night Football against the Arizona Cardinals, getting absolutely torched by Jacoby Brissett. Then you have the Raiders. Last time we saw them, they hung around against the Denver Broncos, but their offensive line was pathetic. Their quarterback didn't get the job done, and it has been a lost season for Las Vegas. You have the floor. How are you playing Cowboys-Raiders?
I'm looking for a 3. There's no 3 in the market right now. It's -3.5, but the Cowboys are going to win this game. And I feel very, very strongly about that. My power ratings, obviously, it says take the Raiders. I think you're going to see a lot of sharps on the Raiders. But when I look at spots like this, and a lot of times there's tragedy, I've been watching sports all my life. You go back to Brett Favre. He loses his father. He goes out there and throws 4 touchdowns and 399 yards. You look at the Miami Marlins. Jose Fernandez dies. D. Gordon smacks a home run on the first play of the game. So you look at these spots where tragedy happens, and, this is not to exploit it, but I think when you have, a veteran roster, you have a quarterback like Dak Prescott, these guys respond in these spots. And obviously the Cowboys lost one of their own. So I think they're going to win this game. And I think they're playing a Raiders team who defensively are not great. They don't have a great pass rush outside of Max Crosby. They don't have a great secondary. You go back to that Jaguars game in the second half, the Jaguars lost all of their receivers to injury, and they were scoring each and every time down the field in the second half. So I think the Cowboys are going to win this game. I'm looking at Dak Prescott. His passing total went from 240 to like 254, 251. I think he goes over that. But, my best play is definitely the Cowboys. And then I also like Jake Ferguson over 35.5 receiving yards. That's the way I would play it. I think the Cowboys are on this fast track. You look at, this is Las Vegas. So you're going to have a lot of Cowboys fans coming out. The Raiders don't have a huge home field advantage. It's basically a destination spot where you're going to see all of the other teams' fans take over. I'm going to be one of them. I'm going to be in attendance tonight. I'm going to see my Dallas Cowboys get a win.
How about them Cowboys? Okay, House, I look at this game on the surface. Dallas, clearly the better team. Dallas is clearly a team that is better positioned to find themselves in the mix come November, December. Yet this line reeks a little ratty, if you ask me. 3 in the hook. Nobody on planet Earth wants to go and take Las Vegas here in this spot. I'll defer here. I have a play on the game. It's not the side. You know I love some ugly dogs. This is an ugly dog. I had a hard time getting to the ticket window on. How are you playing Cowboys and Raiders?
Yeah, if it wasn't the situation we have with the tragedy thing, I'd probably be on the side of the Raiders. But when you add together the combination of Dallas coming off the bye with all of this new talent on defense and their ability, I think, to plan for this Raiders offense, the way I'm playing this, I do like Dallas on the money line, but I'm not willing to lay all the juice. My preferred way to play it is the Raiders under 23.5. And I agree with you, JJ, that this is a rat line. Part of what makes it a rat line to me is that we just don't know anything about this Dallas defense. It's going to be a version of defense that we haven't seen this entire year. They have the addition of All-Pro Quinnen Williams. They added in Logan Wilson. We have DeMarvion Overshown coming back. So this is a version of the defense. Now it's up to Coach Eberflus. Either he's been doing, what he's supposed to be doing during this bye time.
Just think about what you just said right there. It's up to Coach Eberflus. Never a comforting thought, buddy boy.
He is the defensive coordinator. He does have a relatively modest achievement on the side of as a defensive coordinator. I like under 23.5 for the Raiders. The Raiders don't score, and when they get in the red zone, they tend to fold tent, or Geno Smith throws an interception. So they're averaging 15.5 points. They haven't gone over 23.5, but a couple times this entire season. So I am parlaying the under 23.5, which is minus 113 in the FanDuel Sportsbook, with Dallas to win outright. That's plus 109 on the FanDuel Sportsbook. That's how I'm playing it.
Raheem, before I give my play for this game, Quinnen Williams coming in theory, should help the Cowboys defense drastically. I mean, this is a guy who has a very accomplished resume as a defensive lineman in the NFL. Should help your run defense. Should make the rest of the unit far more, dare I say, formidable. But are you getting peak Quinnen Williams? That, to me, is my question. Because the guy I saw with the Jets for most of this year was not having the same impact Sunday after Sunday that he had in years past. Different system with Salo leaving. Of course, Aaron Glenn coming in. But I think from a motivation standpoint, that to me is the best thing you have going if you're a Cowboy fan, getting Quinnen Williams. He gets himself out of one of the worst situations in the NFL with the Jets. And now all of a sudden you put him on Monday Night Football playing for the Dallas Cowboys, chance to be a savior. Is that something you're factoring into this handicap, the idea that you're going to get a better-looking Cowboy defense?
Oh, without a doubt. And, I mean, that's the reason why I'm not all over this over. Because, I mean, and that's the reason why you're seeing the total actually get steamed down. We're at 49.5 for a Cowboys game, which is pretty tremendous when you really sit down and think about it. So, I think you're definitely expecting a more improved Cowboys defense. And you look at the Raiders, I mean, outside of Brock Bowers, who do they have to really throw the ball to? So, honestly, as I think about this more, Sal said this on our Ringer NFL pregame show. He said the Cowboys by 31. I think I want
31. Whoa.
Well, he says 31 as the point total for Dallas.
Oh, okay. I was thinking Cowboys by 31.
Exactly 31 for Dallas.
Oh, yeah, he said exactly 31. I think I want some Cowboys alternates. Like I think the Cowboys could win this by 9.5 or so. I think this is a spot to where the Cowboys can go out there and they're gonna put the smack down tonight. Like that's kind of what I'm expecting. So I mean, if you want to go 9.5 plus 240, that's how I'm feeling. I'm actually going to lay the 3.5 now. And like, I know I've just talked myself into this.
He's adding more. Let's go. He's all in.
I'm taking the 3.5. I think if the Cowboys don't cover this spot, it says a lot about them.
Raheem, hopefully you will have the same luck in a stadium that your boy had laying 2.5 with the Dolphins, which, by the way, House, feels like the dirtiest win of the NFL season for your boy. It's a game that I never in a million years would have bet if I wasn't going to be in attendance. Raheem, hopefully it's a little bit more aesthetically pleasing, but at the end of the day, right, a win is a win?
Yeah, a win is a win. The Cowboys are going to win this game. I feel very, very strongly about that. It would shock me. They got the Eagles coming up next. They got to build some momentum for that game. So the Cowboys are going to win this game.
Gentlemen, I don't want to get involved with this side. I just have a fear factor with this Cowboy defense. Need to see improvement to, dare I say, believe that there's going to be improvement. I mean, after all, the last time I watched the Cowboy defense, they got torched by Jacoby Brissett. So I can't get that out of my mind. However, I look at the Raiders, and to quote you, Raheem, they look as dead as fried chicken. So I don't necessarily feel great about lining up to go and bet the Vegas Raiders. Here's what I am going to do. I'm going to give you a two-team or a two-player escalator parlay. Mr. Brock Bowers. That's how I'm looking at Raiders and Cowboys. And we're going to get into this when we do best bets a little bit later on in the show, but I'm going to give it to you guys right now as well because we're on the subject of Monday Night Football. Brock Bowers is going to be able to have success against the secondary of the Dallas Cowboys. So I see him at 70-plus receiving yards. I'm going to go and take that. In addition to that, I'm going to go parlay Brock Bowers to go and get himself a touchdown. You can get that at around plus 160 on the FanDuel Sportsbook site. You see it on our beautiful graphic right there. I'm in on Brock Bowers. He's looked healthier these last couple weeks. He was neutralized a week ago because the Denver secondary and the Denver defense is one of the best units in all of football. The Cowboy defense, newsflash, is not that particularly good. So therefore, we're going to take the Brock Bowers train. Good weekend for Georgia. Going to be a good weekend for Bowers. Plus 160. Bring it on home. We got a lot more coming your way in this loaded East Coast bias on the Ringer Gambling Show. We'll have the mulligan, the pick we regret, and the look-ahead bet for Week 12 coming up next. We're back here on the Ringer Gambling Show. The East Coast Bias Boys recapping what was a wild Week 11. We have Week 12 picks to get to. We have Anthony Dabbundo, who is standing by. He's fired up. He's ready to go because his team is like front and center in the marquee 1 o'clock game coming up in about 6 days. Now, fellas, I'm starting off the proceedings for the mulligan. The regret of this past Sunday. I gave it out via a video message with my daughter for the show. I hope that was played. My daughter was looking super adorable. Me, not so much. You know what wasn't adorable? The Minnesota Vikings and laying 2.5 against the Chicago Bears. You want to know why that was my mulligan? You want to know why that pick has been eating me up over the last 24 hours? House, please don't allow me to bet on J.J. McCarthy anymore. I can't do it. I understand I'm a J.J. He's a J.J. You would think that we'd be simpatico. Not the case. All he's doing is taking my good, hard-earned American dollars. I felt great about the handicap of the game. I keep waiting for the regression with the Chicago Bears. They didn't put together some all-world performance in the game. I mean, after all, they did allow McCarthy to go down the field late to go and score a touchdown to go up by 1. But I felt like if there was any sense of efficiency from the Minnesota quarterback over the first 3 quarters of this game, I would have won. I would have covered easy. So that's my mulligan. Betting on J.J. McCarthy. I regret it.
Yeah, I'm sorry, JJ. I was there with you for most of the week, and then Minnesota ruled out its best pass rusher in Jonathan Greenard, and I moved out of the position because the handicap for me was Minnesota winning the trenches on both sides of the ball and protecting McCarthy enough to not let that big dummy, snatch defeat from the jaws of victory. He did it anyway. It didn't matter. They couldn't really establish the run. Minnesota, I thought they'd be able to do that against that Chicago defense that lets everybody run on them. But at the end of the day, they can't overcome McCarthy. He is, and I shared this with Dream before the show started, there are 35 quarterbacks with at least 150 dropbacks this season. When you measure it by EPA, expected points added, he is 35th out of 35. He is an awful quarterback in terms of efficiency, in terms of accuracy, in terms of making completions that he should make, and the interceptions are indefensible. So we're looking for opportunities to fade him. My mulligan, though, this is an indirect way to pat myself on the back, of course. I bet for our family meal, the Sunday show, Jalen Warren to get an anytime touchdown. The Pittsburgh Steelers in that game against the Cincinnati Bengals. Everybody in a backfield for an opposing team against the Bengals scores. All you need to do is be a running back to score. Well, I also on their Sunday show gave out Kenneth Gainwell to get 2 or more touchdowns.
What a bet, buddy. Boy, what a bet.
That was
a great bet. That's legendary.
I have to give credit to our good pal Warren Sharp. Every week they do an anytime touchdown, first time touchdown column, and he wrote that his crew wrote up a very nice treatment of Gainwell, the increased opportunities he's getting route wise. So he had a nice catch of the touchdown, and then at the end of the game, that one I think paid off for some people at 50-1. I mean,
It
what
was
are
an
we
insane
doing out here?
bet. So we did not hit the family meal, by the way. I
No,
would have had
'cause-
even more FOMO for the show if the family meal actually hit for the first time where I didn't give a pick. I would have been
Didn't
sick.
happen.
I would have
happen.
rooted
It
for
didn't
that.
happen
I
at
love
all.
you guys very much, but that would have made me absolutely sick to my stomach.
Oh my
Just
God.
saying.
That's
Um,
hilarious.
But I can't even, it's not even a real mulligan house. That's like your first ball being in play, and then the second one you just struck 300 down the middle. It's like, I hit a mulligan, I hit a tree, and it's like in the rough. You know, it's not a real mulligan because you hit that crazy, crazy bet. Raheem, anything from week 11 that gives
I'm gonna
you
be
some
honest
pause?
with you. I was on fire yesterday.
Woo.
Like literally, like I mean, like the only game I missed that I gave out yesterday was obviously the SGP, which I mean, like I'm not gonna ask for a mulligan on the SGP.
No.
The only game I missed was my oh my God bet. I laid 2.5 with the Bears. The Bears were covering 2.5 the entire game.
They sure were.
And then obviously they missed the field goal. And then I think the Vikings punted. And then the Bears got the ball back. They punted again. The Vikings took a punt return down to like the 30 or so. They scored a touchdown. And then it was like, damn, I'm not in covering range anymore. And then I think they took the lead. And then eventually, the Bears, they kicked the field goal and they end up winning by 1. But that's the only game I missed. Everything else, I gave out, I've won. I mean, the Eagles won. The 49ers was my wisest wager. I just was on fire yesterday. It was like probably one of the best weeks of the NFL season for me. So I don't really have a mulligan.
Oh, good for you, Raheem. Good for you. Must be nice. Sorry, I had to go and bet on JJ McCarthy. Okay, well, moving on though. We have week 12. Fascinating games, weekend before Thanksgiving. Hard to believe we're talking about the NFL and the calendar and the weekend before Thanksgiving. Joe House, is there a game you have already bet, or dare I say you can't wait to bet, getting an early glimpse, getting an early look at the card?
I mean, there are two, and we're in this bad quarterback conversation. I mean, Green Bay laying anything less than a touchdown with JJ McCarthy on the road. Yes, done. Say no more. Green Bay has been awful against the spread this season. They can't cover to save their life. They did not cover against the Giants, but this is Green Bay laying less than a full touchdown to JJ McCarthy at Lambeau. Okay, done. Bet that. Hit that hard. And then I'm looking at Cleveland. I mean, picking on Shador, he was awful against Baltimore. I'm not saying that with a week's worth of preparation that he might look marginally better, but I'm playing the under in that Cleveland Vegas Raiders game, and I'm definitely playing the Cleveland team total, which as the number sits right now should be at 16.5 or 16. So right around there, under the Cleveland team total and Green Bay minus 6.5. Those are the two that jumped out at me.
I'll jump in there, House. I know you wanted to be nice to Shador Sanders in the way you phrased that. I won't be. There's no way he's getting to 17 points, buddy boy. No way. Did you watch what you saw in the second half of that game against the Ravens? My goodness. There's maybe actually a reason why Dylan Gabriel has been starting. And that just should tell you all you need to know about the poo-poo platter or the disgrazia, whatever you want to call the Cleveland quarterback situation. It's not exactly easy on the eyes. So, endorsement as far as I'm concerned. Raheem, a bet you can't wait to make for week 12. You're hot.
So I do like the Raiders in that spot. But I mean, that's not the pick that I'm going to go with. I'm going to go with the New Orleans Saints plus 1.5 against the Atlanta Falcons. We know Michael Penix isn't playing. And one thing you see from Kirk Cousins is he does not have any arm strength at all. I mean, he has the arm strength of like a 15-year-old girl at this point in time. It's bad. This line opened at 2.5. It's down to plus 1.5. I think this is going to close at a pick 'em, or the Saints might even be favorite. And I think Tyler Shuck is clearly an upgrade over Spencer Rattler. So I think the Saints should be able to win this game. And Raheem Morris is going to be on the hot seat soon. And then my second one is I'm going to go with the Philadelphia Eagles, Dallas Cowboys under 50.5. I don't know how you start any Eagles totals with 50 at all. Like, I don't know how you do it. I think this number goes down. So I think you need to grab this one now, and then we can make a decision about this later. If the Cowboys defense isn't good tonight, we can try to get off of it, but I think this number, it's going to 49 or so. And then I got one more. Let's go with let's grab the Colts plus 3.5. Let's just get out ahead of the number.
Okay.
And the only reason why I'm doing that is because I think this number is going to close at 3. So go ahead and grab that, and then we can make a decision about that later.
Speaking of which, I will go the other way on that Raheem Palmer. So maybe your thought on this line moving should have me holding off on the possibility of betting the Kansas City Chiefs. But all of a sudden, this profile is for them as a kitchen sink, must-have kind of game. And to me, the theme of this matchup is very similar to what we saw last Sunday or 24 hours ago with Sam Darnold going on the road against the Rams and wetting the bed. This reeks of a Daniel Jones and Arrowhead against the Chiefs and Steve Spagnuolo situation that I totally want to get on board with. I know Dabbundo is going to be upset. I'm going to welcome him in a matter of moments. Sorry, I don't see any way Indianapolis is winning this game. Kansas City, now, all the obituaries are going to be written this week. I can start to sense it. I can start to feel it. I get the skepticism. I understand they are not the team they've been in years past. I'm not ready to bury him quite yet. I am taking the Chiefs. Whether it's at 3 or 3.5, I do not care. And, guys, I have one more. Raheem, you in the spirit of adding one? I'm adding one. I want your thoughts on this. House, isn't Tampa plus 6.5 a very juicy spot with Baker? Doesn't that profile as a game that Baker against a big-time opponent, you don't like it. I see you shaking your head already. I kind of think the Rams coming off, you're getting the Rams off a huge win here.
It used to be. What you're describing is a profile that would have made sense to me at the beginning of the year. It doesn't anymore. I think what we saw in that Bills game is indeed the truest version of this Tampa team. Now, the only thing we have to monitor the injury reports with Tampa. If they get reinforcements, if Bucky Irving is back, if Godwin can go, I don't know. Evans isn't really. They need their weapons. You just have Baker out there running for his life, and he can't scramble with the same efficiency that he did at the beginning of the season. And they're going from Buffalo to Los Angeles. That's too tall a task for me.
Tough travel spot. So you don't like it at all.
To me, this is a dead nuts under.
I like that a lot.
I like the under. And you look at 49.5, you see both of these quarterbacks, but Baker Mayfield hasn't been the same quarterback since week 7. And I think he's dealing with an oblique injury. Like, it's pretty clear that he's not healthy. I know they went off against Buffalo, but this Rams defense is much better than Buffalo's defense. So I like the under here. I'm not going to lay it with the Rams. I think you're buying them at the peak of their market. But I would go under here before I touch a side on this one.
Raheem, just saying, that Carolina bet, I got a couple of texts from some buddies of mine saying, hey, you better mention that to your boy Raheem Palmer when you do the show on Monday. So just so you know, the folks that texted me, I am a man of my word. Raheem, I'm not saying Carolina's winning the division because I still don't think they are. You got a little life, buddy boy.
The crazy thing is, had they not lost to the Saints, we'd be in good position. And it's not just the Carolina bet. You asked me a couple of weeks ago, who would you take to win the NFC North? I said the Chicago Bears at 9-1. They are in first place. Now, they got a tough schedule.
You don't think they're going to end up in first place, though? Not with that schedule.
They got a tough schedule, but when I look at the Lions and I look at the Packers, I think it's anybody's division except for the Vikings. And I look at this week, and it's unfortunate because this is a game I really wanted to bet. Aaron Rodgers is obviously out with a wrist injury. So Mason Rudolph is going to start. Chicago is at home. They're laying 3. There might be some 2.5s, but it's 3 at FanDuel Sportsbook. I wanted to bet the crap out of Chicago at -1.5. And then Aaron Rodgers got hurt. But I think Chicago's going to win this week against Pittsburgh. And I think that puts them in a spot to where they're in control of the division.
Juicy. Very, very juicy. All I'm saying is my boy has a couple of future tokens that are some lottery tickets that might not be lottery tickets by the time we hit week 15, 16, 17, and 18. Coming up next, Anthony Dabbundo, Mr. Colt, 3 and out. Is he ready? Is he going to be mad at me for betting the Chiefs? We'll find out. East Coast Bias Ringer Gambling Show, of course, on the FanDuel Sports Network. John Jastremski, Joe House, Raheem Palmer. It's now time for 3 and out. We welcome in Anthony Dabbundo. Dabbundo, my boy, Viva Madrid. It is great to see you. I hope I didn't find my way onto you-know-what list after I just gave out the Chiefs to cover against your Indianapolis Colts. Did I find myself onto that list?
No, you're fine. You're fine with me. I think it's interesting, though. You made a comment at the end of the segment when you said, we know the Chiefs are not the same team they've been in years past. And I find this very interesting because I think there's a reasonable case to be made that the 5-5 2025 Kansas City Chiefs, metrically, by market rating, by EPA, by DVOA, are actually
better
a better
than they were
team
last year. I know
than
exactly
they were
where
last
you're going.
year. It's so funny that we do all this, and I know we talk about the fourth down stuff, the fourth quarter stuff, and Raheem mentioned this with regards to not having the same level of trust and faith in Mahomes in those, final 2-minute drives. And certainly that's been true in the clutchest of the clutch, where Mahomes outperformed everybody pretty much that we've seen in this sport for the last decade. They were able to pull out all these close games. But from an underlying perspective, this offense is second in EPA per drive. They were 10th last year. Defensively, they were 15th last year. They're 10th this year. Explosiveness, they were 32nd last year. They're 19th this year. DVOA, third this year. So I still the margin for error is getting tiny. And the ability for them to miss the playoffs is increasing with every week that we do this. But as you can see, by the market price, they're laying 3.5 to the Colts, who've been the best offense in the NFL this year. There still is a strong sentiment that Kansas City can pull this out and turn this season around, and that we shouldn't doubt them. And if you do doubt them, then you have the opportunity to go make a bunch of money and bet against the Chiefs the rest of the season, because the market's not budging. It's not.
What's your early lean on that line at 3.5? Would you bet take your emotion out of it? Would you bet Kansas City in the game?
I would not lay 3.5. No. I think that there are questions enough about their run defense. I think you can run the ball on Kansas City, and the Colts can do a job staying ahead of the chains, keeping themselves in those situations, and making life a little bit difficult for Mahomes. I'm not sure what kind of pressure they're going to get, because Buckner is not going to play. He's on the injured reserve. The pass rush is just okay, but they should get Mooney Ward back in the secondary. Ward hasn't played the last month. He's been out with a concussion. You throw, Ward, Gardner, and Moore in that secondary. It's a pretty good unit. Should be a good Travis Kelce game. Colts can't really cover the middle of the field. But again, my original point, the market's not going to budge. So if you don't think that, if you believe what you believe, I feel like it's almost like we have to bet the Colts here, but I'm not going to do it.
All right. Since I bogarted a little bit and gave you the floor on Colts Chiefs, I don't know if that was one of your 3 takeaways, so I don't want to steal the show. It's 3 and out with AD. What's point number 1, big boy?
Well, that was point number 1. So I want to pose the question to you guys.
You know what? I teed you up perfectly then. That's all I want on record. That your boy subconsciously, not knowing what the 3 points may be, I just set up my teammate perfectly to succeed. That's all I'm saying, AD. That's all.
The Trey Young lob. It's a beautiful one there.
I thought you were going to give me a Michael Carter-Williams being a Syracuse guy.
I thought about it.
Tyler Ennis. Come on.
It might be a little too deep cut.
We like deep cut around here. But anyway, you have a question, please.
Well, that's the question. If the 2025 Chiefs play the 2024 Chiefs, what would the game look like? What would happen in that game? Who would win that game? And who would you say is the better team down to down? Because I feel like we do get caught up. It's easy to do. We get caught up in the last 2 minutes of the fact that they are now 0-5. It's so funny. We thought the Chiefs have solved football last year. We're like, they win all the close games. They got the clutch gene, and now they've just lost the clutch gene. They can't win the close games. When really, metrically, we're playing with an oblong ball that bounces weird ways sometimes.
Raheem, are you of the mindset that Kansas City, bad luck, it's going to correct itself? They're going to figure it out. They're going to be fine. Or is this point on Mahomes and what you've seen at the end of these games, the Chiefs and what you've seen at the end of these games? What's the storyline, gut feel, for the remainder of this 25 season?
My gut feel is that they're not winning a Super Bowl. It would stun me if this team won a Super Bowl. A lot of people looked at that Buffalo game and they said, all right, this is normal. Buffalo, they beat them in the regular season. They lose in the postseason. But like Anthony said, you can run the ball on this team. And they look soft against Buffalo. And you look yesterday against Denver. RJ Harvey was able to run the ball. It just felt like the luck that this Chiefs team has had, it doesn't feel like it's there. And you got to remember, Tom Brady went 9 years without winning a Super Bowl. So it's very possible that this could just kind of be a dead spot for the Chiefs. Like they just look like defensively, I don't trust them. I don't trust them. And then when I look at the offense, I don't always feel like Patrick Mahomes is going to be able to pull it off. So my gut feel is that I'm not willing to just blindly bet Mahomes to figure it out like I would in the past. So I'm going to give them the respect and maybe not bet against them all the time, but I'm definitely not putting all my money on the Chiefs.
The books aren't going to let you is another part of it. Like, and I know I laid KC yesterday like an idiot, but like they were laying 4.5. Like the amount of assumptions you have to make to get Kansas City to be priced that high, that aggressively is pretty strong. So it's like the years of like buying KC at a discount and all that, it's not happening this year. It's not. So, if you like them, you might have to play them game by game, maybe open up some kind of like rolling money line rollover or something of that nature, because you're just not going to get the discount anymore. And this line is a perfect example of it.
1 down, 2 to go. Point 2, Mr. Dabbundo. Whole lot of Chiefs conversation throughout the show. What's in the Derek Jeter spot?
I think if everybody's going to sell the Seattle Seahawks off of yesterday, I'm willing to buy the stock that is left over from that game. I thought it was a weird game. I think there are reasonable claims to be made about Darnold, and you can say the same thing. Like we've now seen this 2 separate games against the Rams with the sacks and the turnovers, the negative plays. But the game was also really weird. Like they really struggled in the red zone, which I think is something you could have seen coming. They really struggled to get explosive plays, which is, again, something you could have seen coming. And yet, like, they were a coffin corner from potentially winning that game. Like, they had so many opportunities to stay in it because of what that McDonald defense did to the Rams. The Rams offense was really useless in the game. They had a short field for their first touchdown. They could barely keep the ball because Seattle was so methodical, had so much of the ball. They basically, the entire second quarter, the Rams only ran 5 plays. And so Seattle's ability to keep the chains moving, to be methodical, it didn't ultimately work out because Darnold played like a 1 percentile game. But if Darnold plays like a 30th percentile game, if he just has like a mediocre game, they win that game in LA. And I'm not saying that he's going to, he could turn in another 1 percentile stinker and burn us in the playoffs. And I'll feel bad. I'll have to take my Seahawks hat off and I'll be like, why did I trust this team? But I came away feeling like Seattle was right there with the Rams.
I think that's a fair take. And Dabbundo, let me make something clear. I had the Rams a variety of different ways yesterday. I also laid the -3. And I think your point on what we saw from the second quarter on in that game, Seattle, pound for pound, was the better football team. They did a better job of executing. Their defense completely shut down Stafford and the Rams. But we keep throwing this disclaimer in-house. Sam Darnold, oh, well, you go from 1% to 30%. I've seen Darnold now in the 3 biggest games he's played in the last 2 years absolutely stink up the joint, every single one of them. He stunk up the joint yesterday. He had 4 turnovers. The game against the Rams in Arizona last year was non-competitive, persona non grata. Then the Week 18 game against Detroit. That's my problem with Seattle. I think they're going to win a lot of regular season games. There's a world they win the division. There's a world they go and beat the Rams the next time they go and play. But why am I supposed to believe that you are going to get now multiple high-quality games out of Darnold when all of the evidence would suggest he is not going to do so?
You're not. So don't do it. It's fine. AD is right. Dabbundo has the handicap 100% correct. Seattle is really good. That's a very good football team. They outplayed the Rams in Los Angeles. Many of us handicapped that. In fact, one of us took Seattle on the money line. Maybe some of you guys did as well. And that kick that Myers launched, I thought had a chance. I loved the fact that they got to the spot. It was an incredible punt by the Rams punter. But how about this? Seattle got into field goal range. That was Darnold right there with the game on the line. But F that dude. He stinks. Look, when you see the panic in that man's eyes, that's it. You have to hit eject. I should have in the first quarter gone ahead and just bought out of the position in some kind of reasonable way. Not over leverage because it is an oblong ball, and who knows? The Seattle defense could have won that game. The Seattle defense can score. That's the way that Seattle's going to have success when it comes playoff time. But when you see Panic Sam out there, get me all the way away. Like, you can't see that look in his eyes, and his feet start when he starts getting jittery and say, "Oh, I made a good bet." You just can't get there.
And you know, the one problem I'm having is that, look, they have a great defense, and we know that their defense is going to keep them in games, but Seattle can't even really protect Sam Darnold because their rushing offense isn't great. They're 26 in EPA per play with running the ball and 24th in rushing success rate. They're only successful on 38% of their running plays. So you can't even really protect Sam Darnold. So he has to be the guy. But it's just like, I did leave that game feeling better about Seattle in some ways. But I mean, at the most important position, I just don't know what I'm going to get from Sam Darnold. And that's, it's like, it's very problematic for me because I really want Seattle to be the team, and it's Darnold holding them back.
Quickly, AD, would you bet Seattle right here, right now, plus 290 to win the NFC West?
No. I mean, we talked about this on the Sunday pregame show. I think the one big issue is going to be that even if Seattle and the Rams now finish tied, like if Seattle wins the head-to-head in the second meeting and they finish tied, the most likely outcome, assuming that the Rams take down Tampa this week, is that the Rams are going to have that tiebreaker.
Tiebreaker,
so
Niner game.
The math gets kind of hard in a tie for the Seahawks to actually win the division. But I'll be happy to take Seattle on the road in Tampa in round one of the playoffs. I think that's where I'll be. And I know that everybody's going to do the Darnold thing, but I think Seattle's a much more complete team than Tampa Bay it currently is.
Fair enough. 2 down, 1 to go, AD.
Fun year in the NFL. I'll tell you what, because it feels like everything is so inverted because there've been a handful of teams that have outrun, quote unquote, the metrics. And I know that the fan bases and Chicago Bears fans have been giving it to me all week because I've been a little bit critical of them. They are the second lowest. This is from Aaron Schatz, the head of DVOA, FTN. They are the second lowest 7-3 team ever by DVOA. The Patriots are the second worst 9-2 team. They're actually worse than that infamous Vikings team from 2022. And the Panthers, Raheem's Panthers, that is, are the second lowest 6-5 team ever. So we've got a handful of these teams. The market doesn't really believe in them. But there is a record that has of the games that have been played. If you pull up the standings, you play to win the game. These teams are winning games. And we have to figure out what to do with a team like the Bears, who won yesterday. Great win. They ran the ball really well. I think that's a real thing that they've proven that they can establish the run. But how many Minnesota receivers were wide open yesterday that were just missed?
Yeah, I know they're betting against the Bears. That's been
the Bears are going to get guys back in the secondary, Gordon and Johnson in December. But I don't know. I think I kind of like Pittsburgh this week. I'm going to be honest with you, but I don't know.
Even with the Mason Rudolph train.
Rudolph.
You want to get chewing with Mason.
Always open guys against this Bears defense. Do I trust Rudolph more than McCarthy? Not really, but I'll have to think about that one. We'll see. It's kind of a fraud bowl, really, with the two teams. So
I understand, and you have some more time to maybe digest that a little bit later on in the week. Gentlemen, we have 2 minutes remaining. Hopefully, we're saving the best for last with some best bets. It might be Monday Night Football. It might be a look-ahead line. It might be in the NBA. The floor is yours. Joe House, take it away.
Yeah, we're going to the association. There's a handful of NBA games tonight, and we're looking to buy into this very tough situation for the Chicago Bulls, who played a double overtime game last night in Utah, lost that game, and now have to travel to Denver and go up against the Joker. The line is absurd. It's 14 and a half, but we'll go ahead and parlay the Nuggets on the money line with Josh Giddey under 38 and a half points, rebounds, and assists. Giddey's going to be tired. 38 and a half is a big number. Under 38 and a half parlayed with the 14, that gets you right around even money. That's a nice Monday night win.
Dream.
Let's go with the Miami Heat on the money line. No Jalen Brunson, no OG Anunoby. These two teams just played the other day, and the New York Knicks won. So let's go with the Miami Heat. Let's also go with that same game that House just mentioned. Let's go with the Nuggets Bulls under 240.5. I don't think you see this reach the total at all.
Good spot with the Heat. You mentioned the Nick injuries. No Brunson, no Anunoby. Don't think Landry Shamit's dropping 35. Quickly, AD, you got a best bet?
Sixers, my second NBA bet of the season. Sixers -5.5. Third game in 4 days for the Clippers. Sixers head off all weekend. Clippers, Harden played a lot of minutes. I think Paul George is back tonight for Philly. Laid the 5.5 with the Sixers. Rare for me with the NBA.
Brock Bowers, 70-plus yards, anytime touchdown. That's going to do it for us. For Raheem, House, Dabbundo, John Jastremski signing off. East Coast Bias Crew. We'll be back tomorrow. Ringer Gambling Show. We out.
Must be 21 or older and present in select states, or 18 or older and present in D.C., Kentucky, or Wyoming. If you have a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit rg-help.com. Call 1-888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut. You must be 21 or older and present in select states. For Kansas, in affiliation with Kansas Star Casino, or 18 or older and present in D.C., Kentucky, or Wyoming. If you have a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit fanduel.com/RG, 1-888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut, or visit mdgamblinghelp.org in Maryland. Hope is here. Visit gamblinghelplinema.org or call 800-327-5050 for 24/7 support in Massachusetts, or call 877-8-HOPE-NEW YORK or text HOPE New York in New York.